Palworld, a game that's just taken the world by storm as of recently. Now, if you don't know what Palworld is, it's a survival-based game where you collect little pocket monsters, or you could say, Pokemon. But you also have to survive, like in games like Ark, Sons of the Forest, the prequel to The Forest, the son and the father of the... Now, I've played Palworld on my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Saimir_Shogun, if you want to go check that out. Okay, these guys are skittish. I wonder why. The world may never know. So I feel a little inclined to watch this video. I personally seen the connection to the Pokemon in Palworld and the Palmons in Palworld and the Pokemon in our world, right? And there is some kind of connection. Like, come on, let's be honest. There's some inspiration taken from both of them. I feel some of them are really close, but some of them are all that original. Some of them are very much original Palmon. But I don't know the depths of this conversation. So that's what we're going to do here today. If you like this content and want to see more, make sure to like and subscribe. And comment down below, what's your favorite Palmon? And if you haven't played Palmon, look them up. Guess. Take a shot in the dark. But on to the video. Whoosh! Now, the video that we're reacting to today is by Upper Echelon. So go ahead and show them some love. The video link will be in the description if you want to go watch it by yourself. Or if you want to show it to your friends, you know, you don't have to show them my video. No, so I don't even care about that.
All right. For anyone who follows the world of video games, even passively, I might add, the number one thing you've been hearing about recently is budget Pokemon, also known as Palworld. Actually, to be completely honest, it's quite possible you haven't heard of this game, but let me put this in perspective a little bit. Palworld, developed by a company called Pocket Pair, is the biggest launch in Steam's history, bigger than Elden Ring.
I will say this. I seen this game when it like first had not a concept, but like a trailer almost, like I think a year ago, and it looked amazing. Like it looked like everything I wanted. I love shooting Pokemon. I love enslaving Pokemon. It's my favorite pastime. But when it came out, I will admit, it was pretty lackluster. I personally would have liked some kind of story to it, besides like those little books you collect in like that little bit of lore in the beginning. It is an early access, so you know maybe they're gonna come out with some great stuff in the next coming months, but we have to wait and see on that part. But yeah, as far as we know, that's how I see on this.
Ring, bigger than Cyberpunk, bigger than any other game that has ever launched on the platform, period, and that's no small feat. The game is consecutively rising to higher and higher concurrent player peaks. Last count was over 1.8 million concurrent online players, and that's not even counting Game Pass. I'll go out on a limb here and say that Palworld is quite likely to become the best-selling video game of all time, perhaps. But that's not the only reason why you've likely heard of it. I made a joke and I called it budget Pokemon, but that's precisely what the game is. It's budget Pokemon with action combat, survival crafting elements, and a Valheim-esque type of world. It's fun for a while, and I kind of get why
I did keep hearing it get compared to Valheim. I never played Valheim. I only seen like some of my friends play it, like on Discord. They shared their screen. I like saw them play it. But as far as I can get at, it's like a survival game like this. So I'm assuming it's getting compared to a lot of these types of games. I don't know if that's a fair connection or not. I have no clue, but it seems like it is. So.
Finding success, sure, I'll probably review it, and if I were to pump out information videos on it and do guides for the game, I'd probably make tens of thousands of dollars a month for the next year, which is tempting. But today, I want to talk about why the game is not just the most popular release in history, but also dragged down by controversy and outrage at every single turn. There's a number of complaints, but I'll try to put them in order. The first and largest one, in my opinion, is that Palworld was allegedly created with the help of generative AI programs. Some people say the game itself was made that way, others claim just the creatures were, but what's really going on? Well, for starters, people think that because one of the prior games that the developers of Palworld came out with was called AI, standing for Art Imposter, where generative AI and artwork comprised the central pillar of the gameplay loop. That obviously raises some eyebrows.
That sounds fire,
Then
though.
people started to showcase how the CEO of Pocket Pair was an AI enthusiast of sorts. They dug through his tweet history, found some really odd statements about generative artwork, such as this one, about how passing something through an AI filter might resolve the issue of copyright, go figure. But the thing that really made my eyebrows raise...
You're selling the bag. That's what I mean. Twitter will get you to sell the bag. Why are you tweeting that? You're cooked. Now when Game Freak go through your catalog, like, oh, you're trying to dodge copyright, huh? You thought you're a funny guy. Give me your bag. Matter of fact, give me your children's bag. Give me your children's bag. You're cooked. You're in debt for 5,000 years plus. And you're going to jail for life. So good luck with that. I don't know if Nintendo actually do have like a copyright thing for this, but I hope not, because that's going to be a crazy amount.
Was this. There's a blog post from shortly before the game's initial launch bragging about how there are 100 monsters in the game, but it also talks about how basically all of the characters were designed by a single graduate student who the company hired off of Twitter. Now, that's obviously non-conclusive, but a company that was struggling to do even basic design elements before this, managing to produce the scale of content that they have, is raising questions. Still, I want to be crystal clear about this. There is no current definitive proof that the company has utilized generative AI. There's a horde of people speculating about it on social media, but they really just do not know right now. And personally, I think it's a very important line. Not many people care about that line, obviously. If the game is fun, they'll play it, but I think it is an important line in reality to a degree because it would showcase a new leap in AI usage for video games. See, it's a very tricky topic because when you talk about AI in video games, you're talking about things like procedural generation, which have been used in games with varying degrees of success for many, many years. AI enhancing those kinds of tools, that seems great, really, but AI replacing creative jobs in the conceptual department, that's not so good.
Look, AI is fun. It's fun sometimes. I think it can be a tool to help things improve. But I don't think it should replace it all the way. You know what I mean? I feel like you shouldn't use AI to make things all the way. Like it shouldn't just like spawn, like for example, this YouTube video, right? I shouldn't be able to use AI to just make this whole YouTube video just exist. Like this is not even me. I'm an AI right now. I'm a generated person. The real me is like sitting on the Bahamas, sipping a high C. You know? I feel like you shouldn't be able to do that. But you should be able to go like, okay, I'm gonna use AI to find an idea for this video, and now I'm gonna record it. Like I'm like this idea is just generated by AI. It's not really, but it could have been, and that's important. But it should be a crutch, not really a like the whole thing, you know.
Anyway, that's a topic for a different video because according to GDC survey data, 31% of all game developers are now using generative tools, AI tools that is. 18% say their colleagues do, and 15% say they're interested in doing so. That's a rapidly growing majority, by the way, that is either actively using it or wanting
What's
to
other?
use it. I've actually got an entire dedicated video, I'll link it down below in the description for those interested, on why copyright itself may be the Achilles heel for generative AI programs, featuring the Midjourney lawsuit, artist scraping lists, etc. So it really is a developing situation with a bunch of heavy-hitting players involved, all of whom have a lot of money
He's
and a vested
violating those
interest in the
Palworlds.
outcome.
My lord.
Regardless, that was the first hurdle for budget Pokemon, but now the discourse has shifted to plagiarism. This part's kind of tricky. See, there are a metric shit ton of people weighing it now, doing...
I haven't even seen this one. Oh, it does kind of look like the Alolan Meowth. I didn't even put that together. Yeah, I mean, like, you can at least give them the benefit, the fact that they had like a different element, even if they looked the same, it had like the same idea, like a rabbit standing on two legs. You know, at least it's like, at least it's a grass type. At least you can find some like middle ground in that. But it is very similar. Like it's insanely similar.
side-by-side comparisons, looking at the shapes, the polygons, the 3D models, everything. It's a hornet's nest because there is a very large group of people that are now deeply upset because they believe that palworld stole designs from Nintendo. And I'm not really here to take sides today, I don't think, but some of the similarities are, they're rather striking. It's very heated,
The
by the
Eevee one
way.
is real.
Senior artists at
The
other
Lycanroc
development
is real.
firms like Naughty Dog, for example,
Electro
saying
Buzz,
things
yeah,
such
that's
as,
true.
I don't have any proof, but my gut tells me they are cheating somehow. Just fanning the flames of outrage over these rip-off Pokemon. And I really can't sit here and tell you, yeah, those models got copy-pasted and then changed, or those models got traced, or no, they're similar but not the same, because I have very little experience in 3D modeling. I have some experience, but not enough to be an authoritative expert. That being said, there are
Well, luckily I do. I've been doing 3D design for about 12, around like 22 years. And what can I say? It's they're cheating. And, let me be the first to say it. They're cheating, man. This is cheating. I know. Take my word.
so many different similarities in theme, detail, structure, and archetype. It's obvious that the game intended to capture the same audience as Pokemon and give them something super familiar. It's intentional. Whether or not that level of intention constitutes something Nintendo can sue over is a different story, but they're probably gonna sue. I say that
They're
because
sure gonna
Nintendo
try.
have already started nuking
Well,
the Pokemon themed mods for Palworld, and the former head of legal for Pokemon, Dan McGowan, speaking to GameFile, has already said, quote, "This looks like the usual rip-off nonsense that I would see 1,000 times a year when I was chief legal officer of Pokemon. I'm just surprised it got this far," end quote. Nintendo can likely draw on a bevy of different examples for this if they decide to go the legal route. Shout out to Eric Covington for these examples here, which point towards the idea that a video game's look and feel may be protected under existing copyright law and
I'm just saying, Power World, y'all hire me, man. I'll give y'all some crazy designs for free. I'll give you guys some crazy designs. Put me on the team. I've been a character designer for about 32 years. Put me on. I can do it. I'll do it for a cheeseburger. I'll do it for a Big Mac from McDonald's, a Big Mac meal. I'll give y'all about 50 character designs for a Big Mac meal and a biggie bag, and maybe a toys from Toys R Us. But I'll give it to you. All right. Just hit me up at character design Saimir at gmail.com, and we'll hook it up. Your people get in touch with my people being me, and then we'll get something together.
also that confusion created among an audience can be used as justification for why a work is infringing. There's a couple different cases that might set a precedent, but that's, again, a bit of a tangent. Now, the degree to which Palworld falls into those categories will probably get litigated through the court system. That's just the honest to God truth. Or settled in some high pressure back room between a bunch of powerful people or, some high paid lawyers. I honestly can't be sure. But the monumental success of Palworld and its undeniable similarities make it a prime target for Nintendo, who is also, historically, kinda sue happy. Here's the thing. Obviously, none of this matters when it comes to selling power. The game is flying off the proverbial shelves, if you will, which means that there are resources being generated that could be used to turn this product into an actual behemoth of a franchise or a piece of IP. Pokemon and Digimon have been feuding for decades, so what's to stop this?
We talked about this on Discord the other night. It's a shame. It is a crime how much Digimon has been hoed. Digimon is such a fire franchise and such a fire game series and show. I mean, I'm really a fan of the first show. Everything else is kind of like, but the fact that it gets labeled as a Pokemon clone is insane. Is insane. Slanderous. I will forever ride for Digimon over Pokemon any day of the week.
This one from becoming yet another titan of the weird looking little creatures you catch video game scene? Probably nothing. The CEO of Pocket Pair obviously has responded to all of this, saying that the game has passed legal reviews and that they take it all very seriously, etc., etc. But this is the same person who is saying he cares less about originality and cares more about being popular.
Yeah.
Speaking to Wired Japan, CEO Takuro Mizobi said, quote, "I've always loved Nintendo games, and that hasn't changed. I deeply respect him. However, when it comes to making games, Nintendo has a strong philosophy of creating new and unique games with high quality, and this was questioned at the Nintendo Game Seminar. On the other hand, I have a deep-rooted desire for my work to be enjoyed by as many people as possible, and to that end, if there are good ideas in the world, I pick them up, and I don't necessarily have to be particular about originality. I think it would be a good idea to create things in a way that just jumps on what is trendy," end quote. Combine that with prior statements on social media about how he quite literally can no longer tell which ones are Pokemon and which ones are AI generated versions of Pokemon, while showcasing examples of Pokemon esque replications.
Yeah, you sold. You sold on two fronts. Like selling once is like it's like okay, we all sell one time every now and then, but selling two times on the same topic, you just didn't want it bad enough, man. You just wanted to lose. You did everything in your power to lose. Come on now.
That's a pretty compelling set of dots to connect if you're a lawyer trying to argue that the wildly popular new pet catching game stole concepts from your wildly popular pet catching game. It's a very fine line between the legal quagmire of outright asset theft and a perfectly legal off brand style ripoff. And one thing standing tall right now as a testament to the game's potential future is Craftopia, a game also developed by Pocket Pair. Craftopia is very clearly inspired, right, to use that word in a very general sense, by Zelda Breath of the Wild, with a multitude of elements seemingly lifted directly out of the game. But it was made, sold, and
Oh,
subsequently played by a lot of people over the span of years, only now getting review
that
bombings
looks just
because
like
it
it, low
has
key.
seemingly been abandoned in favor of Palworld.
This is something I heard. I didn't know like what Craftopia was about, but I heard about the name. And this was also something in early access that never got actually like released. And I'm just saying, man, that's a bad look. That's a really bad look for Palworld because I have a feeling they're gonna either do the same thing or maybe they won't because maybe Palworld had a bigger reception, so they have more faith in keeping this going. But it does look bad. It looks very bad. And for people that pay $25 like me, that was a hardy investment. Okay, I could have bought nachos, and a Big Mac meal, and now that's all gone, man. It's all gone, and I'm not getting that back. I reached that 2 hour grace period. I'm never seeing that refund, Power World. So please finish this game, please.
There were no
I
lawsuits
beg
that
you.
I could find, at least, and the game persisted as a not so different but kinda different gameplay experience ever since 2020, making it much more believable that Palworld will find its way forward without getting sued into oblivion by Nintendo necessarily, despite the mountain of similarities and remarkably similar concepts. In summary, there is absolutely no hard evidence whatsoever that Palworld has used generative AI, but the CEO is very enthusiastic about that possibility and concept, having directly showcased and compared AI creatures to actual Pokemon in the past, and his studio also made an AI game before this that used artwork as the core concept. He's not a fan of originality. The PALs were mostly made by apparently a graduate student that the company hired off of Twitter, and the models are very similar in a few ways that will have to be sorted out by lawyers. The list of similar themes and creatures is very, very long, but the developers kinda already did that in the
Damn, he reaped that
past once
boulder.
before, and they got away with it, making this a budget Pokemon ripoff, at least in my opinion. Those are my words, and again, just an opinion, that somehow became the most popular game release of all time and shows no signs of slowing down. It's fun for a bit, and depending how things go, I guess I could maybe do a review and a guide video, but I'm just not enthralled by this game to the extent that I would need to be in order to start actually covering it like I have for certain titles in the past as like a main game. It's fun, I get it. The developers even allegedly decided to make it Pokemon with guns because Americans like to shoot things, which made me laugh. And then also,
Naruto.
Americans sometimes want to make very ugly characters, which made me laugh even more. I don't know if that was the actual motivation here for these development decisions, but it's funny. Anyway, that's it. Pal World, in my opinion, is budget Pokemon that is now simultaneously the most popular and most controversial game on the entire video game market, with an unknown future ahead of it, if it even has one. If you want to support, there are links down below. Update on the lawsuit.
Yeah, that's the end of this video. But the way I feel about Palmon is that it's a game with a lot of potential, and if it's able to spread its wings, it can go very far. I'm probably gonna play just a little bit more of it. Um, kind of just mess around every now and then probably uninstall it, and then wait a few months, and then come back to it. Because that's what I did with Sons of the Forest. I got that when it first dropped. It was an amazing game when it first dropped. I loved it even when it first dropped. But it had things that Pal World just doesn't have that attracts me, like story, a lot of stuff to do. And yeah, so hopefully in a few months I'm making another video talking about how great Power World is, or maybe over my other videos I talk about how great it is. But it's gonna have a really hard fight. It's gonna have a really hard fight, just like how Omni-Man and Homelander had a hard fight in my last video. If you want to go watch that, it's on my channel. It's right. It's the one before this one. I think if I upload this right, it should be the one before this one. Or if you want to see my next video, that'll be out on the following Monday. So I just wanted to say I appreciate everyone for watching. I hope everyone have a great morning, night, and afternoon, depending on which one's for you. Make sure you eat, sleep, and drink. I've been Saimir Shogun, and good bye. Do you think they'll ever drop like a Palmon like intro, like Pokemon? Like I wanna be the very best that no one. I can't even sing that. I had to censor that. That's not even gonna go into the final video.